I can't believe I finally get to say this out loud, but my new book, Enough as I Am, is finally available on Amazon. This is a project that's been living in my brain, in my heart for a really long time. And now it's finally real. You can actually hold it in your hands and scribble in it and put dog ears. You get the idea. Enough as I Am is a workbook that's designed for anyone who is on a healing journey, especially if you've ever struggled with people-pleasing, chronic guilt, self-abandonment, overgiving, or just a desperate urge to fix everything and everyone but yourself. And yeah, I'm looking at you, but I'm also looking at the past, really overwhelmed version of myself. I wrote this book because I could have used this book when I was struggling. I've spent years reading about codependency, sitting through therapy sessions, and even going to medical school so that I can get a really deep understanding of this stuff and offer something to you that's truly helpful. What you're going to find inside this workbook isn't just theory. It's practical, it's reflective, and very compassionate. It's filled with prompts and tools that are going to help you to build better boundaries, restore your self-worth, and stop tying your value to how much you do for others or what others think of you. If you've ever felt like you're not enough, if you're exhausted from carrying the emotional load of everyone else around you, or if you're ready to finally come home to yourself, then I wrote this book for you and I'd love to share it with you. You can find Enough as I Am on Amazon now. I'm going to put the link in the show notes. I want to thank you all for being part of this community, being part of my community, and for showing up every week to do the work. And I'm so honored to be the one who walks alongside you in your journey. So let's keep on healing together. Enjoy the book. All right, so now on to today's episode. Have you ever felt off, overwhelmed, or exhausted but told yourself it's not that bad? That one little sentence seems harmless, but it has a way of making us minimize our pain and delay getting the support that we need. In this episode, I'm talking about high-functioning distress, what it looks like, why we downplay it, and how you can start validating your mental health even when things don't seem that bad. Because struggling silently still counts, and you don't have to hit rock bottom before you deserve care. Welcome to The Codependent Doctor, a weekly podcast focusing on all things codependency. Are you struggling to love yourself, feeling burnt out, or having trouble forming loving and meaningful relationships? I can help you heal from the past and move forward with healthier selves, healthier relationships, and healthier, more fulfilling lives. Join me as we reclaim your authentic self. I'm your host, a family doctor and fellow codependent, Dr. Angela Downey. We can do this together. Here we go. Hello to all my wonderful podcast listeners and welcome back. I'm really glad to have you here to join me for this bonus episode of The Codependent Doctor for Mental Health Awareness Month. I'm your host, Dr. Angela Downey, a family doctor and fellow codependent, on a mission to normalize getting the help before you hit rock bottom. Have you ever been in a situation where your mental health didn't feel great, but you told yourself it's not that bad? It's the sneaky little mindset that whispers in your head and it minimizes your struggles. That one sentence sounds harmless, but it can carry a lot. It shows up when we try to talk to ourselves out of our own pain. It might sound something like, other people have it worse, I should be grateful. Or, I'm still going to work and taking care of everything, I must be fine. Nothing huge has happened to me lately, so why am I feeling off? Comparing yourself to others is dangerous. It convinces us that if we're not totally falling apart, then we're not allowed to be struggling. But that's not true. You don't need to be in a full-on crisis mode for your feelings to matter. You don't have to be sobbing in the bathtub to deserve support. Struggling silently is still struggling. You can be functioning, productive, showing up, and still feel anxious, disconnected, or completely drained on the inside. So if you ever thought other people have it worse, I want you to reframe that a little. You can say, just because I'm not falling apart doesn't mean that I'm thriving. We've got to stop using rock bottom as the only measure of when it's okay to ask for help. I'm going to tell you a little quick story from my own life. This was a few years ago. I was a full-time student, raising kids, managing a household, and very financially strapped. On paper, I was holding it all together, and people were saying things like, I don't know how you do it all, or you're amazing for holding it all together. But the truth is, I wasn't okay. At some point, someone gifted me a spa day. Super kind, very generous, and I remember walking in, putting on the robe, sitting in the lounge, and within 15 minutes, I didn't know what to do with myself. I moved chairs, I fidgeted, I went to the steam room, left after about 5 minutes, I got a tea that I didn't drink. I couldn't sit still. I didn't know how to relax, didn't know what to do. It was like my nervous system couldn't process the idea of rest. And that was such a big wake-up call for me because I realized even in a place that's designed for relaxation, my brain was still in survival mode. I thought I was fine because I was doing all the things like raising kids, studying, cooking meals, paying bills. But deep down, I was also completely disconnected from myself. That spa visit made it clear. Being high functioning isn't the same as being well. So let's talk for a second to my fellow functional but exhausted friends. You're showing up, you're smiling, you're keeping it all together, but inside you're wiped. Maybe you're the caregiver and you hold space for everyone else. You're the rock in the family, but no one seems to ever check in with you. Or the people pleaser, strong for everyone else, but collapsing quietly when you're alone. Or maybe you're the overachiever, the one who doesn't rest until your body forces you to, when you're sick, dizzy, or shut down. If that's you, I just want you to hear this. You don't have to earn support by falling apart. You're allowed to need help before everything crumbles. So why do we minimize our struggles? Honestly, it's because we're taught to. We were told to be grateful, to say, at least I have a roof over my head. And yeah, gratitude is really important, but not when it's used to dismiss our real feelings. We were taught that therapy, boundaries, or asking for help were only acceptable in a crisis. If you were still functioning, then you must be okay, right? Especially for those of us who are codependent or people pleasers, we grew up learning that our needs didn't matter unless they served everyone else. So of course, when we're tired or overwhelmed or sad, we think it's not worth bringing it up or it's not that bad. But let me say this clearly. You can be grateful and still be struggling. You can have good things and still feel overwhelmed. It's not either or. We need to stop pretending that gratitude cancels out pain. We need to stop waiting for total collapse before we believe that we're allowed to take a break. And while we're at it, let's normalize getting support early. Things like therapy, journaling, boundaries, rest, they aren't just for breakdowns. They're tools for maintenance, for maintaining good mental health long term. We take care of our teeth before they rot. We change the oil in our cars before the engine dies. So why do we treat our mental health like it doesn't need care until everything's on fire? Support works best before burnout, before the tears, before the shutdown. Support is smart. It's not selfish. Maybe you're journaling to process your emotions. That's care. If you're setting a boundary to protect your peace, that's care. And if you're resting even when there's more to do, that's also self-care. We don't have to crash to justify taking care of ourselves, and it doesn't have to be something big either. So I'm going to wrap this up with a gentle reminder that you don't need to be drowning to ask for a life raft. You're allowed to take small steps today. That might mean booking a therapy consult or maybe texting a friend and saying, hey, I'm not doing so great. Or setting a small boundary like skipping a plan that you're too tired to attend. Maybe it's just admitting to yourself that you're not doing okay right now. That counts. That matters. And it's enough. Healing doesn't always have to start with a breakdown. Sometimes it starts with a little whisper, a quiet moment of honesty, and a tiny act of self-respect. You don't have to fall apart to be worthy of care. You're allowed to get support, exactly as you are now. Thanks for being here with me. I'm still going to have my regular episodes coming out every Monday, so I'm going to talk to you soon, and I will be back next week for another bonus episode. Take care for now. Thank you for joining me, and I hope today's podcast resonated with you. Click like and subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes and to help others who might benefit. This podcast is not meant to provide medical advice and should not replace seeing your doctor for mental health concerns. If you're having a mental health crisis, please present to a hospital, call 911 or your local crisis helpline. I'll talk to you next week for another episode of The Codependent Doctor. We can do this together.